What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTP Sports. It's been a nice 2 days. It's been a nice 2 days in a row. Eagles 5-0. They continue to find ways to win, even though there's certain parts of the game that just make you want to pull your hair out. That first half, Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp basically just completely destroying you. You find ways. It's basically back and forth during that entire first half. You go down in your first drive and score. They go down their first drive and score. You both get a couple of stops mixed in there. You have a drive where you could possibly score a touchdown. You don't. You have to do something else. And then they get a touchdown right before half. You get a touchdown right before half. And then we go into that second half where your defense was just absolutely amazing. Your defense, after, getting picked apart by the Rams offense, you found a way to settle down. You found a way to keep them off the board, and your offense did just enough. Oh, my God. Like I said, oh, my God. Terrible start to this. Terrible start. We already got a sneeze in here. But, oh, God, we got to power through. We got to power through. So, offensively, red zone play calling, it's still trash. It is still a big load of trash. There were a lot of sequences in this game. You're seeing a third down situation. I believe this was in the second quarter where you're throwing it to Quez Watkins on third down, and instead of trying just to go up the middle as soon as he catches the ball because he had a hole between the two blockers, he tries to go around his left blocker, and it just completely falls apart in his face, and he's not able to get the first down. You have to settle for a field goal in that situation where you could have gone up. You could have gotten 7 points on there. Quez Watkins costed you a good amount of points on the board. So that's what sucked. And there were a couple of drives in the second half where you're having long, sustaining drives. Jalen Hurts making some clutch plays on third down. DeAndre Swift getting some clutch runs to pick up some good yardage, getting you in position to put more points on the board. And then for some reason, when we get into the red zone, DeAndre Swift disappears, in comes Kenny Gainwell, and for some reason we draw a quarterback run right up the middle, and then a Kenny Gainwell run, then we use a timeout, and then another quarterback run up the middle, which turns into nothing, but 3 points. So, once again, Jake Elliott is your MVP of, consistently being reliable. But, Dallas Goedert, finally you found a way to implement him in the offense. He had over 110 yards, 117 in total. He had a touchdown on the first drive of the game. When you implement Dallas Goedert into the offense, we've been saying this for weeks now, when you properly implement him into the offense, it leads to success. It leads to success because he's one of the top tight ends in the league. And then A.J. Brown just continues to be A.J. Brown. This is his third straight week of 100-plus yards receiving, getting some beautiful catches, especially one on a third down where he reaches over one-handed. My God, just amazing stuff. Jalen Hurts, I wouldn't say... I would say today was his best running game, if you know what I mean. If you get what I'm trying to say. Last week I thought was his best passing game overall. Lots of dimes all over the place to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith last week against Washington. This week I thought he was much better running. Last week he still looked a little shaky. He still looked a little hesitant. Today he was taking the hits, and they weren't even majorly impactful hits. He was finding a way to split defenders, get around guys, not being able to go down, and he was able to pick up some nice, very good chunk yardage to get some huge downs, to get some huge first downs. Jalen Hurts was huge in that factor. He also made some pretty good throws today. His one, he had a couple of misses. There was a miss on a play to, I believe it was Quez Watkins, that was wide open on a third down play, which led to a punt. And then one of the throws in that third quarter, which led to an interception, it was an underthrow to A.J. Brown. He was probably trying to expect, because the play that resulted in the touchdown going into the end of the first half, there was a play that led to a pass interference. Jalen Hurts underthrew it on purpose to A.J. Brown to try to draw the pass interference, and it worked there, but this time the Rams read that. Jalen Hurts underthrows A.J. Brown again to maybe try to force another pass interference, and it blows up in his face and becomes an interception. Thankfully, the defense was able to do defense things, because over that second half, they were just absolutely amazing. There were also chances, too, to get some interceptions and fumbles directly after that interception by the Rams, but sadly they weren't able to come up with it. But still, they managed to get them down on fourth, which was a good thing. They forced them to punt the ball. Defense was just really good. Jalen Carter had a really good game. I thought your defensive front had a really good game, especially in that second half, getting more, impact on Matthew Stafford, making him panic a little bit more. And Stafford also had some wide open misses, too. There were a lot of plays to Cooper Kupp that he probably should have made downfield. There was one play, I believe it was closer towards the end of the game, that would have been a go-ahead touchdown, basically, and he just completely overthrew his receiver. And if the receiver caught it, would have been an easy touchdown. So Matthew Stafford missed some really, key throws in this game. Really did. So you just you found a way to win. You found a way to get the 5-0, and that's the most important thing. A lot of things that I did like from this game, specifically just what I didn't like. It's just the red zone play calling. It just feels like you're passing up points on the board. And when you go up against better competition, that's really going to come back to bite you in the ass. It just really is. Because when you're settling for field goal after field goal after field goal, when for some reason you're just drawing up quarterback runs straight up the middle in the red zone that don't become successful, it just gets stuffed out really easily. It's really going to come back to bite you in the ass, especially when you play teams like the Bills, when you play teams like the 49ers, when you play teams like the Cowboys, when you play the Chiefs. It's these top teams in the league. It's going to really come back to bite you in the ass. It just really is. And that's the biggest problem there that I have. If we look at some stats throughout the game, Jalen Hurts, yeah, he had that one interception in the game. He did take a one sack. He was getting pressured a lot in certain situations, but he was able to scramble out of the pocket, and that's where he implemented his legs to try to get some good chunk yardage. That's where his legs really came into factor today. He had 72 yards rushing today on 15 carries, so that was very huge from him. DeAndre Swift had 17 carries for 70 yards. Jalen Hurts overall in this game, he was 25 for 38, 308 yards, one touchdown, one interception. Looking at the receiving game, A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert were really good. Dallas Goedert early on in the game, and then A.J. Brown basically throughout the entire thing. A.J. Brown, 6 receptions for 127 yards on 8 targets, and then Dallas Goedert, 8 receptions for 117 on 9 targets. His longest was 49. A.J. Brown's longest was 38. There was a dime to A.J. Brown basically later on in the game in that fourth quarter. Jalen Hurts has all the time and the space in the pocket. Basically, he can do anything he wants there. That's how good the offensive line was given the protection there. And basically, when you're going up against the Rams defense with Aaron Donald was a non-factor. Aaron Donald was a non-factor in this game, especially when you don't have Cam Jurgens in this game. You thought the Rams would maybe try to exploit that with Opeta in there. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. Lane Johnson made some good plays on Aaron Donald today. They kept him in check, made him a non-factor, and that was basically the recipe for success offensively as well, keeping Aaron Donald out of the picture and then letting your talented players do the work. Dallas Goedert, A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts. Devontae Smith wasn't really that impactful in this game. You definitely saw something on the sideline. Him and Nick Sirianni, just wasn't that day. You're going to have those games where even though you get targets, you're not able to make catches because the defenders, they're just targeting you basically the entire time. So this was the A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert show. There's going to be a game. I'm sure of it that Devontae Smith next week against the New York Jets is going to have a big game. After this, after being quiet this week, he's going to have a big game. He's no doubt going to. But A.J. Brown has been money. He has been money the past few weeks. That one-handed catch was just perfection. It was just perfection to get that huge third down conversion. Just perfection. Looking at the defensive side, Blankenship made some nice tackles in this game. Morrow, after he had the 3 sacks last week, he had some issues, especially, in that third quarter. He dropped the interception, which fell on the ground, and then he had a chance to recover a fumble, which he wasn't able to fall on. So he had a little bit of a rough game this week, but it wasn't anything terrible. It was just, he had a chance to turn the ball over, and it's good that he's in position to do that. You just need to find a way to come up with the ball, and sadly, that wasn't the case there. Hassan Reddick, those huge sacks during one of the last drives for the Rams in that game where they're trying to come back. You basically got the Rams in their own territory going towards, half field, and Hassan Reddick just comes up huge. 2 sacks straight in a row. Just, the Rams have to go for it on 4th and long, and Hassan Reddick just doing what Hassan Reddick does. We all know he was eventually going to show up. He was quiet the first couple of weeks. Maybe that was impacted because of the thumb surgery that he had during training camp. He took a little bit to show up last year, too, and then he basically went beast mode the entire season. Oh, it looks like he's doing it again. It looks like he's doing it again. Jalen Carter was really good in this game, had a couple of sacks, so that was nice to see. He had a really huge sack on Matthew Stafford in the LA territory, which made it, I believe it was like 2nd and long or something like that. So Jalen Carter was really good in this game. So, yeah, overall, I can't complain about anything defensively. You made the adjustments after they were basically torching you during that entire first half. That was just something unreal. Looking at the receivers for the Rams, Nakua and Cooper Kupp, they were torching you in that first half. Cooper Kupp had over 118 yards, but you basically made him non-existent in that second half. Made him non-existent, and Nakua had that touchdown grab at the end of the first half. It was on a 3rd down play. You get a stop right before it, and then James Bradberry gets beat one-on-one. So that was an issue there. That was a big issue in that first half. James Bradberry, Darius Slay, basically your guys in the secondary, they were just getting beat that entire time. It just felt like it was the same screen play, same slant play that they were doing the entire time, and it was just money for that entire first half. Like Cooper Kupp, it just felt like he wasn't even, he hadn't missed a beat. That's how good he was and how connected him and Matthew Stafford were in those first 2 quarters. It was unreal. It was unreal. But you found a way to make them quiet. Found a way to shut them down. Stafford was 21 of 37, 222 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 sacks. Their run game was non-existent. Anytime you try to run the ball, the Eagles are basically going to stuff it with their defensive front. So the run game was a non-factor. It really wasn't. And their defense basically became a non-factor as you got into that second half. It was basically, I would say, just the Eagles stabbing themselves in their foot with the red zone play calling. I don't know how they fix that, because there's too much talent here to be that bad in the red zone. In my opinion, you have too many weapons. Too many weapons. Got A.J. Brown, you got Devontae Smith, you got Dallas Goedert, and for some reason, DeAndre Swift is never involved in the red zone play calling. For some reason, what does Kenny Gainwell have? Does he have any, blackmail? Does he have any, revealing pictures of Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni or something like that, to where he's always being put into those situations where he just never comes up successful? It's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous how many chances, DeAndre Swift in that 4th quarter gets you some huge yardage, and he's the main reason that you get into the red zone to begin with. And he gets taken off the field? It's weird. It's weird to me. That's all. You have too many weapons to be this bad. You really do. It's got to be better. If it's just, Nick Sirianni taking over play calling in the red zone, because whatever Brian Johnson's coming up with, it is not working. Seriously, that one sequence just completely annoyed me. It really did. Jalen Hurts right at the middle, then go right to Kenny Gainwell, and then a timeout, which leads to another Jalen Hurts play up the middle. Come on. You got to be better there. You got to be better. Think of something more creative after a timeout. Seriously. It's a joke. It's a joke. Seriously, I'm just being, even though it's nitpicky right now because you're 5-0, you're 5-0 and you still have problems. That's just a thing. They haven't been perfect. I would love them to be perfect because this offense last year was just so dynamic. And maybe that was just, the fluency with, Shane Steichen and all that stuff, having over a year plus experience with that offense. And it was just completely dynamic because he was so used to those guys. And now, it's an inexperienced play caller and Brian Johnson. He's still trying to figure out the kinks. But it's just come up with some more creative stuff in the end zone, man. Think of something better than just a run of the middle. Something better. Utilize your weapons. Look what you did on the first drive of the game to Dallas Goedert. Do that more. Come on. There was also a play in one of the end zones, too, where Jalen Hurts Looked like he couldn't find anybody there, and then here's Quez Watkins just all alone by himself, just standing there, and nothing happens. I believe he was trying to feed it to Devontae Smith double coverage, and it didn't work. So it's just got to be better in that situation. It just really does. It's got to be better. It's got to be better. But you still find yourself 5-0, which is the most important thing. You're 5-0 when you have issues. And imagine when those issues eventually not become issues and they're fixed. And you're finding more fluency in your offense. You're finding more consistency in the red zone. Oh boy, then this team is really dangerous. I think they're dangerous right now, but imagine when they fix the kinks. Because it still feels like it's just kinks right now. Because the defense found a way to adjust. And a lot of credit to Sean Desai for that too. Because they were just getting eat apart by Nakua and Cooper Kupp. And on the same exact plays too. Those slants, those screens, it was just eating them apart. They found a way to adjust. And that was basically just getting a bunch of pressure on Stafford. And it changed the entire complexity of the game. It let your offense do what it had to do. And your offense was having long, sustaining drives the entire game. The issue was just finishing. That's the issue right now with this team on offense. It's just finishing your drives. You can have those long, sustaining drives, and you need to find a way to finish. That's the issue. I want to go to some of these field goals that ended in, situations where you could have had a touchdown. So one of those field goal plays that was in the first half, it was one of those plays that with the Quez Watkins, when he should have ran in between his blockers, instead tried to go to the left blocker, that turns into a field goal. That was in the red zone situation. That can happen. And then another field goal in the second half, when you're just, down close to the goal line, that's the situation where on 3rd and 7, where Quez Watkins is wide open in the end zone, and he tries to force feed it to Devontae Smith. And for 1st and 10, you feed it to Kenny Gainwell. He doesn't get really anything going up the middle. And then another incomplete pass by Jalen Hurts. It forces another field goal. And then going back into the later parts of the game as well, this is a situation where Jalen Hurts tries to go right up the middle. Kenny Gainwell goes right up the middle. And then Hurts goes up the middle again. It just got to be better. 3 straight drives in the end zone. And it needs to be fixed. It needs to be fixed. Badly. But then if you're looking at the touchdown play at the end of the half, how many seconds do you have left on the clock? I think it says 32 here. You have 32 seconds left on the clock. This is an amazing drive here to get the lead going into the half. It starts with 1st and 10 at your 25. Jalen Hurts gets a huge 9-yard gain there to make it 2nd and 1. And then Jalen Hurts gets that huge pass to A.J. Brown one-handed, and he also draws, I believe it was a horse collar tackle, which got it closer to the end zone. And then you get into that situation where it is close to 1st and goal, and then you get that pass interference play on A.J. Brown, which brings you right to the goal line, and then all you got to do is do the brotherly shove, as they call it now, the good old QB sneak, the brotherly shove, because, I bet that made the entire NFL world pissed off. Seriously, I feel like they do it just to piss people off. I really do. They do it just to piss people off. Seriously. You get down, there's a couple seconds left on the clock. That was just a perfect drive. Granted, yes, the flags helped you, the penalties helped you, the horse collar tackle, the pass interference, it helped you, but you took advantage of it. And you found a way to go up by 3 at half, and you didn't look away from it. You forced the punt at the start of the half, and another long sustaining drive. It does turn into an interception, sadly, but then you forced them to punt again, have another long drive, which resulted in a field goal, forced them to punt again, another long drive. Look at these drives right here. 17-play drive, 10-play drive, results in points. But sadly, you need a score off those. Those are all field goals, though. It's just those long, sustaining drives. This team can do that with ease. They can run it up with DeAndre Swift. Jalen Hurts can scramble, get some yardage there. And you also can just use the good old reliables and Dallas Goedert, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith. You can just use all those old reliables. But I don't know, man. Quez Watkins, I don't think, is the answer as your 3rd receiver. I think Zacchaeus was 20 billion times better as your third receiver. And Kenny Gainwell, just when you get into the red zone, just use fucking DeAndre Swift, please. 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 Seriously, when he gets some good chunk yardage, and he's the main reason why you're even in the end zone to begin with, don't take him out. Don't take him out. But still, you have enough talent there to score a touchdown, and you don't. Come on, Brian Johnson. Come on. Make some better play calls. Make some better play calls. Nothing. Stop with this freaking quarterback run and Kenny Gainwell at the middle. Stop. Stop. It's annoying. It's annoying. But 5-0. But 5-0. That's the most important thing that matters. It is. It is the most important thing that matters. Oh, boy. So, let's get to the Anytime Hotline here. You can leave a voicemail, opinions on anything at 215-839-9885. Your thoughts and opinions on anything. So let's get to Sean. Let's see what he has to say about this Eagles win. Now, here's the thing. Who do you want to lose more in that game? Do you want Dallas to lose more so you have more gain in the division, that they have 2 losses on the year and you have 0? Or would you rather have the 49ers lose so you have a better chance to get the home field advantage, to get the first seed in the NFC? So you could possibly get that home field advantage in the NFC Championship game. Is that something you would prefer? I'm not entirely sure. Personally, I would prefer the home field advantage throughout the playoffs. That's something I would prefer more. So I would kind of hope the 49ers can lose that game. That's just my personal thing. But it's always fun to see Dallas lose at the same time. So it's really a win-win situation, like you said, Sean. It really is. And yeah, it's, you hate to be critical about certain things, but you are 5-0, and that is the most important thing. Just imagine when you get the kinks worked out. Imagine when you fix the issues. And there's always going to be issues defensively because that's your weakest point besides the defensive front. I still feel like James Bradbury and Darius Slay need to be better in certain situations. But basically up the middle in that linebacker position, you're always going to be weak because that's your weakest point of the team. I'm sure Howie Roseman's going to find some way to address that at the trade deadline, and I'm assuming that's coming up very soon as well. So hopefully he can find a way to ensure that so you have someone that you rely on, and maybe that you could put some guys back into their natural positions instead of trying to switch guys, putting James Bradbury at nickel, someone else at corner, and all that stuff. It's just, find a way. Find a way to get someone that can help this team, I would say. Most important thing there. Ugh, man. So, before we end it off, let me get to a couple of you guys here in the live feed before we ended. So, Jose Perez says, Eagles record is still intact. Exactly. Let's go, Squadron. The Eagles D-line is about to hit their stride. Exactly. Exactly. Eagles D-line has been really good the entire year or so. With Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter. You didn't have Fletcher Cox in this game, but they still found a way to, make some damage, make some, haymakers there. Brandon Graham was doing some things, so that was really good to see. Overall, your defensive front's still very good. And then you get to see, Hassan Reddick do his thing. There was also one play where Josh Sweat was just completely, everyone ignored him for some reason. And here he comes just like straight dead into Matthew Stafford. And Matthew Stafford is a deer in the headlights just trying to get the ball out of his hands. So, yeah, your defensive front's always going to be good. It's always going to be the secondary that's going to be the question mark in that situation. And also the red zone play calling. That's also it there too. So, that's going to do it for tonight, everybody. So keep out for a possible another Phillies Braves watch party tomorrow for Game 2 of the NLDS, so definitely stay tuned for that in your subscription feed. Haven't decided, but I think I'll most likely do it in that situation. Also, don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. I greatly appreciate everyone here that joins the live streams and all that stuff. So join the family and hit that subscribe button. It does me a great deal of service. And also use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase at SEATGEEK. Great deal. Do not pass it up. So, thank you guys for joining tonight.